Hey guys, let's get more news from Dallas Cowboys, but first don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave your like. Dallas Cowboys, Bill Parcells gets honest on Mike Zimmer's appointment. The Dallas Cowboys, despite their extremely talented roster, are still struggling to make playoff runs. They hope that the recent acquisition of Mike Zimmer would improve the situation for the entire Cowboys organization. However, rumors surround the acquisition that Zimmer may not be the best for America's team. Doubts have begun to surface if Zimmer is actually the right person for the position. This is when one of his former head coaches decided to step up and defend his reputation. Former Dallas Cowboys head coach Bill Parcells was asked about Zimmer's personality after the Dallas Cowboys decided to give him the defensive coordinator position. The former Cowboys and New York Giants head coach then went out of his way to vouch for Zimmer's personality. Per Cameron Duncan of The Spun, "He's a coach's son, and I always liked that because they lived it at the dinner table when they were young," former Cowboys coach Bill Parcells said about Zimmer. Bill Belichick was the same way. "That's the kind of guys they were. But I got to like Mike and we've become good friends. He's himself. That's what he does. That's what people that get along with players are. They don't say you have to get along, but players respect people who are straightforward, to the point, and trying to help them get better," Parcells said. The Dallas Cowboys have always been one of the better defensive units in the NFL, but they somehow managed to fumble during the biggest games. Meanwhile, Zimmer was the key architect that built a strong Minnesota Vikings defense during the latter half of the 2010s. If Zimmer can work his magic with the Dallas Cowboys defense, it won't be strange to see them make next year's Super Bowl. Mick shots, Micah gets some love at Super Bowl. This should come as no surprise. Not as of some shocking revelation to those of us watching the 2023 Dallas Cowboys. Because as reminded for probably the 50th time, at least, the Cowboys' overall run defense was severely lacking, especially against those teams with winning records. Because, again, in all 6 of the Cowboys' losses, the 5 in the regular season, though still allowing the Cowboys to claim the NFC East title for the second time in 3 years under head coach Mike McCarthy, and the utterly painful one in the wild-card round of the playoffs, 48-32 to the Green Bay Packers, the Cowboys' defense gave up at least 109 yards rushing. Why, they finished 16th against the run, rather mediocre, its meaning of only ordinary or moderate quality. Not bad, then again not good. And that lack of quality spread into that playoff loss to Green Bay, the Packers rushing for 143 yards and 3 touchdowns, lead back Aaron Jones carrying the ball 21 times for a playoff career-high 121 yards, a robust 5.6 yards per carry average. And all 3 of his touchdowns, 3, 1, 9 yards, tying the NFL all-time record for rushing touchdowns in a road playoff game, in a wild-card round game and Packers' single-game playoff record. Those 143 yards were but the 4th most in the 18 games the Cowboys played in the 2023 season. Let that sink in. So give Cowboys linebacker/defensive end Micah Parsons credit for having the nerve last week on his The Edge with Micah Parsons podcast on Radio Row from Super Bowl 58 to ask guest Jordan Love, he the Packers quarterback who engineered that playoff dagger of a loss, what the Packers did to win the game. Credit to Love for not immediately pointing out how he completed 16 of only 21 passes for 272 yards and 3 touchdowns, from 20, 38 and 3 yards. To finish with a 157.2 QB rating, just 1.1 points from perfect. All including 7 completions for at least 20 yards, with highs of 46, 39, 38 and 26. He averaged a Green Bay playoff record of 13 yards per attempt. And let's remember that would be more than Bart Starr, Lynn Dickey, Brett Favre and, Aaron Rodgers. That likely would have been for a guest, quite unpolite, to take all the credit. Instead, he very courteously said this, "The key for us going into the game was we needed to run the ball," Love said. That was a huge thing. Obviously, we played you all the year before, and I feel like we ran the ball pretty well. No kidding, in the Packers' 31-28 overtime victory during the 2022 season at Lambeau Field, Jones on 24 carries went for 138 of the Packers' 159 yards rushing, along with a 12-yard rushing touchdown. Just going against you all, Love continued. I'm not trying to talk, but your linebackers, in the playoff game, I think you had a defensive back playing linebacker, Marquise Bell, converted out of necessity from safety to linebacker. That was our goal, to run the ball. That was going to set everything else up. There had been so much attention entering the playoffs paid to the Kansas City Chiefs' 11-6 regular season record and their 4-5 finish to the season that their defensive performance had been overlooked. The Chiefs finished ranked number 2 in both total defense and scoring defense. Look inside those rankings provides this, too. In 13 of their 17 regular season games, the Chiefs yielded no more than 20 points and only 2 games giving up more than 21 points. A 27-19 loss to Green Bay and a 24-9 loss to Denver. And then this, after giving up an average of 17.3 points a game during the regular season, they gave up just 15.7 in their 4 playoff games, the 22 to San Francisco needing overtime to establish the high. Conversely, the Cowboys gave up at least 28 points in 5 of their 6 losses, the lone exception the 22 in the loss to Miami, 22-20. $54 million starter a top Cowboys trade target to replace star, analyst. Another Dallas Cowboys offseason means more rumors about the team potentially moving on from star tackle Tyron Smith. Will this be the offseason where it finally happens, or can the two parties reach a compromise on a new contract? Bleacher Report's Alex Ballentine offered 3 potential trade targets for the Cowboys to pursue this offseason. At the top of the list is Jacksonville Jaguars left tackle Cam Robinson. The idea is Robinson would be a potential replacement option for Smith. Smith has spent all 13 seasons of his NFL career in Dallas, but sometimes the hard decision has to be made, Ballentine wrote in a February 14, 2024 story titled, Cowboys Top Trade Targets Entering 2024 NFL Offseason. If there's a trade that could bring back a younger, functional starter at left tackle, then it should be considered. That scenario could play out if the Cowboys find the Jaguars are open to trading away Cam Robinson. The 28-year-old was suspended for the first 4 games of the season for violating the league's policy on performance-enhancing drugs, Ballentine continued. The suspension voided some of the guarantees in his contract, so the Jags could save $16.1 million in cap space if they were to trade him. That's a lot of flexibility to consider, especially when Walker Little played well in his absence. While not quite as experienced as Smith, Robinson has made 84 starts during his 7 seasons in Jacksonville. Robinson is heading into the final season of a 3-year, $54 million contract. The veteran is slated to have a $21 million cap hit in 2024, but this number is likely less given Robinson's suspension. Even so, the Cowboys would likely need Robinson to agree to either an extension or reworked deal for it to be viable financially. The Jaguars have an out in his deal this offseason, so Robinson could be motivated to take less money rather than be released. Smith had an up-and-down season for the Jaguars in 2023, earning a 65.4 grade from Pro Football Focus. Robinson could be a potential cap casualty, in which case the left tackle makes more sense as a potential Dallas target. It is hard to imagine Robinson's recent play entices the Cowboys to give up anything in a possible trade. The bigger question is how Dallas will handle Smith's future. Thus far, fans and media members have been more prone to moving on from the former Pro Bowler than the front office. Smith played in 13 games this season and has missed significant time in 8 straight seasons. The star had just a $6 million cap hit in 2023 as Smith finished out a lengthy 8-year, $97.6 million deal. The lack of quality offensive linemen around the league means there will still be a demand for Smith in free agency. The Athletic's John Machota believes the Cowboys may still bring Smith back for another season. What also makes Smith appealing is that if he wants to play another season, he might be willing to do it on a somewhat team-friendly deal, Machota detailed in a February 5 article titled, Ranking the Cowboys' 16 Unrestricted Free Agents, Who Do They Need to Bring Back Most? Re-signing him for another season would still allow Dallas to draft an offensive lineman in the 1st or 2nd round. And you fan, what do you think of the Cam Robinson situation? Leave your opinion in the comments.